Having a good day. Hi everyone, I hope you are well. Welcome to this lesson. If it's your first lesson, you are very, very welcome. If it is your second or third lesson, I'm glad to have you back. I hope you are ready for a productive accounting session. Just for you guys to get to know me, I teach your grade 12 accounting lesson. I'm also a grade 12 teacher by day for grade 12, like I just mentioned, grade 11, grade 10, and some EMS for the grade 9. So I also studied accounting, and I feel that I am more than equipped to help you today master accounting. I have a big, big passion for accounting. So my name is Shantae, and it's so nice to have you with me. We had a look at fixed assets, at inventory, and also at their controls, their internal controls. We had a look at internal controls as a whole. We had a look at internal auditing, the function of internal auditing. So we did a lot of work, and then we started looking at bank recons, and we finished that last week. So now we will be moving on to the control account, so the debtors and the creditors. We're going to look at, so we've done bank recons now, and what I wanted you to see there, if you haven't attended the sessions, I want you to go back to the videos I posted on YouTube and go through what type of questions do I ask you in grade 12. I no longer ask you to just set up a normal bank recon. It's more internal control process related to say, what are the controls? What are the benefits? What can be improved on, etc. So now we move on to our debtors and our creditors, and we're looking at that recon. But before we get started, physically just doing activities, I want us to look at the theory again, because it's really hard for me to establish where your knowledge is. So we're going to start from scratch. We're going to work our way up. We're going to work through theory, and then we're going to do in Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays session. We're going to do Wednesday as well. I've got Wednesday now, but we're going to do examples, okay, and exam techniques and how to approach questions and so forth. So stick with me throughout this week so we can finish our debtors and our creditors recon. Just more information from my side. Every week I send our staff who handles all the uploading of docs. I send it through to them, and they upload it on www.africateamgeeks.co.za. So please go and ask away if you have any questions. Go there, ask them any questions. For more information, contact them via the website, and please follow us on social media now as well. Okay. Now, let's get started. Sorry. Okay. So, where are we today? I hope you can see here. Let me just open this up. Okay, great. So, I want you to read with me. Like I said, all of this will be available to you. Let's see if we can zoom out a bit. There we go. That seems practical. Okay, the review of control accounts. So, in grade 10 in particular, much attention was given to draw up a control account of both debtors and creditors. Actually, in grade 9 now as well, I'm doing this with my grade 9s, and you got to see how these debtors and creditors and their control accounts and their debtors ledger and their creditors ledger are all compiled and how everything fits in together. They want you to refer to your chapter 6 grade 10 workbook, but that's not applicable here. What is applicable is that you should go back to your grade 10 workbook and just go through all of the reconciliations for debtors and creditors, especially focusing on the debtors and creditors list and then the control accounts, so your debtors ledger, right? Make sure you understand them. So why it's so important is, and each year builds up. So you need to make sure that you are fine with what you are doing from the start, because it forms part of your foundation, right? So it's part of your foundation. In this chapter, we will pay more attention to specific debtors and creditors accounts. We will look at the reason why the amounts owing to the creditor, as shown in our creditors ledger, differ from the amounts stated in the account statement we received from the creditor. So obviously, like a bank account, we have a debtors ledger where we record all the transactions. But obviously, the supplier, or which we call creditors in this instance, it could be anything, not just suppliers, but they also have their record, right? So they have, when you buy something on credit, I love taking the example of Edgar's, because if you look at, you are a debtor to Edgar's, but Edgar's is a creditor from your point of view, right? Because you are still owing that amount to Edgar's, right? So let's take Edgar's for instance. So you go and you swipe your card, you have a store card, you swipe your card, all is well, there you go, you exit with your things. Obviously, you have an idea of what you still owe or whatever, but and you keep the slip of your record stating, I owe on this day, I still owe this amount of money, or I increased it now with this purchase. What I want you to see is it is very important that Edgar's obviously also keeps record from what you bought with them. So they then send you a statement at the end of the month. Now, why am I doing a practical thing like Edgar's? Yes, from a business perspective, you guys have great examples and you've done this a million times. But if you make it practical, I have found that it really works for me if I try and make it as practical as I possibly can. Okay, so now it says the Edgar's gives you the statement at the end of the month. They usually do send it at the end of the month or here by the first or the second, stating, listen here, after your monthly payment, you still owe us this amount. Okay, so then we recon and we see, okay, is this true? Is the amounts differing? Did the top I returned, was that deducted from the statement? Because I did return it, so I don't owe that amount anymore. Okay. Also, why the amount we calculate for each debtor in our debtor's ledger perhaps differs from the amount the debtor thinks he owes. Exactly the same, just the other way around. So put yourself in the business Edgar's perspective as well as the perspective of you as the buyer. Okay. Now, transactions involving the debtor. Now, guys, this is important, and I want you to stop and then just write this down, take a photo, take a screenshot. What I call this trigger moments or trigger words in a question. In accounting, I will always give you specific things, not for the sake of just writing words. These are your trigger words where when you read a question or when you read a sentence, you immediately trigger it immediately triggers the DJ or the CPJ or the petty cash journal or the general journal, the debtors allowance journal. So maybe at this stage you aren't where you are supposed to be, right? So your knowledge, your foundation, your basis isn't as strong as it should be. So this is where I come in and I give you this trigger this trigger words where I say when you read credit, sales on credit, I don't even have to give you to a data. I can just say the sale was made on credit. It immediately should trigger the DJ, data's control, and sales. Now, you won't really get you'll most definitely get to the general journal. But I won't ask you in matric to do the petty cash journal. However, what I would do is I would say, okay, you should know that this affects my debtors control, my sales, my trading stock, and my cost of sales. When I render a service, it's exactly the same. We just don't have sales because we're not physically selling stock, but we are, however, going to account for it in the current income. Now, other two accounts that's being debited and credited is your trading stock, which is credited, and cost of sales being debited because your expense is increasing and your trading stock is decreasing. Obviously, when your debtor makes a payment, what's going to happen? Your bank payment made on behalf of the debtor. Okay, this is a bit different. This meaning that you made a payment on behalf of them. So these two accounts will be affected. Petty cash payment for a debtor. So that's important, that for a debtor, not from a debtor, whatever. But it can't be petty cash then. Cash received. Now I don't. I have to say from whom or which debtor or to what it obtains. So here it's debtors. Then can you see my bank increases, my credit control decreases. With a discount allowed, now I would make a little star here to trigger this because I know even in matric, you guys still make the silly mistake of not accounting for your discounts allowed, not knowing what to do, not knowing where this discount allowed comes in my statements and what to do with it. So just make a little star there or write it down, go read up on it, go through your old work, make sure that you understand what to do when it comes to discount allowed. Also, after this, we'll move on to VAT. So you still have VAT left for this term. And it's really important that you have a look at what happens at discount allowed with VAT. But we'll get there when we do our VAT. Okay, check from data dishonest. Check from data dishonest. So this check obviously bounced. So what's going to happen? I'm now going to increase my data's control again and decrease my bank because I haven't really received the money. Although I did account for bank being increased when they did give me the check. Okay, discount, you have to cancel it. So the discount that on the check that bounced, you need to account for it. Where do we account for it? In the general journal. When a debtor returns goods, where it always affects my debtors allowance journal. Now, this is something my matrics missed. They couldn't remember, even my grade 11s, they couldn't remember why why they needed to minus sales, debtors allowance from sales. Now, this is very important. We cannot debit sales. So when one returns goods, we immediately record it in our debtors allowance. Okay, so cost of sales, I can debit and credit, but sales I can't. So therefore, we have a new account, which is a nominal account, right, in my income statement, and I'm going to record it in my debtors allowance. So these are all sales that I had when the people returned their goods, right? So do you understand that that's why I need to minus it off from sales? Okay, this is very important. Then interest charged on overdue accounts, that's very easy. We're just going to account for our interest because we're going to receive an additional interest. It's going to be interest, income interest, right? Or and then debtors written off as a bad debt. So this is something you'll definitely see. It was introduced to you a year ago, Maybe you were lucky and it was introduced in your grade 10 syllabus, but this is something you'll most definitely get. So what happens here? So can you see that I'm decreasing my debtors? Because now this person cannot pay me anymore. So I need to now take it out. I need to take all the amount he owes me, I need to take out. And I need to create an expense for it. Okay, I need to create an expense for it. To write it off once off, to say, listen here, this is a once off expense because I will not get this money from them. Okay, now transactions involving our creditors. We have a purchase on credit from a creditor. Okay, so we have our CJ. Again, I won't typically ask you any of this, but I will, however, ask you maybe one of these, more than one of these in your general ledger. So we say purchases on credit from a creditor. So I don't even have to say a creditor. You need to know purchase and credit in the same sentence triggers creditors, a creditor's transaction. So what's going to happen? I'm going to increase my inventory and I'm going to increase my debtors control account because now I get stock. That's why there's an increase. But with my creditors control, there's also an increase here because now I owe more to them, right? When a payment is made to a creditor, we're obviously going to decrease our bank because we're making it, we're using our money to pay them. So my bank is decreasing. And then my creditors control is increasing. Okay, my creditors control is then decreasing. What am I saying? Sorry. My creditors control is decreasing. Why? Because now I'm paying them, so I owe them less in future. When we receive a discount from the creditor, again, can you see that I'm going to decrease my creditor's control and account for an income, a discount received? Because now I owe them less than I was supposed to. So they said you owe them 300 Rand. They said, don't worry, only pay 280. Can you see that this amount needs to be, so the full 100% always goes to the creditor's control, and that little discount goes to discount received. When we have goods returned to creditors, we have the CAJ, right? So we have the creditors control and we have our trading inventory. So what happens? We return the things. It's like you return your top 2 Edgars. Can you see that you no longer have that top? Okay, you are then therefore decreasing creditors and decreasing your trading stock as well, because you don't owe them that amount anymore, and you also don't have that stock anymore. And then you also need to know that when I have interest on creditors control, it's going to increase my creditors control, right? And then obviously it's going to be an expense which I account for. Looking at my age analysis, so we'll do an age analysis today and then an example, and that's where we will stop for today. So when we have a look at my age analysis for my debtors and creditors, it says that here is an interesting practical aspect that demands good reasoning and problem-solving ability. Whenever a debtor buys on credit and an agreement is made regarding the date of the repayment, so you usually have, you usually state you have 30 days to return your goods. You have 30 days to pay me. So every month you need to pay me, otherwise there will be interest that occurs. Then, or you can say with creditors, you want to pay them between 60 and 90 days. So, but the most likely one would be 90 days. Now, why is this? Stop and think for a moment. You receive money from a debtor. Cash is always king in a business. So if I have cash, my business can effectively pay salaries, incur expenses, pay daily operations, buy cash, buy stock or inventory or whatever. So I want to get cash as soon as I possibly can from a debtor. and I want to try and pay my creditor up until the last day I possibly can to have enough cash flow. Okay, so to make sure I have enough cash flow to pay my creditor, but to try and make sure that when I pay him when I buy something from him today, I only have to pay him within the next 3 months. So that makes an extra 2 or 3 months available for me to have cash flow in my business. Okay. Whenever a debtor buys on credit, an agreement is made regarding a date. Okay, we did that. This is known as, okay. So let's have a look there. Whenever a debtor buys on credit, an agreement is made regarding the date of repayment, like we spoke now, like I spoke about the 30 days or the 60 days or the 90 days. It says, this is known as the credit period. Debtors usually try and postpone the payment as long as possible, obviously, because they would also like to have cash on hand and their cash flow, in spite of the credit conditions opposed. So when you sign that on the dotted line of your Edgar's store card, it says there that you need to make a monthly installment. So you have a monthly installment that you need to pay every 30 days. And if you do not pay that, you will incur interest. Okay, you will incur interest. Before accounts are sent to debtors, an age analysis is conducted for control purposes of every debtor's account. Now, I'm not sure if you saw a statement, if you've ever seen a statement, but maybe I'll get one from you. I went to the physio the other day, and they give you a invoice when they my medical aid only pays 80% of it, whatever. But so I need to make a co-payment. When I make my co-payment, they immediately give me an age analysis of saying, okay, your account is being outstanding for 30 days now, or 60 days, or 90 days. So I'll maybe get an example for you so you can see how it physically looks. But it just says that we conduct an age analysis for control purposes. Again, here control purposes comes in. So this will then definitely be linked with internal control procedures. So make sure that if you know, you have to know, and we will do more examples and questions on it, but you need to know the ethical considerations and the internal control procedures regarding the debtors and the creditors. But not to worry, like I said, further in the week, we will have a look at it. Okay. This is to determine which debtor has exceeded their credit period. So on which debtors can I raise interest? Who do I need to maybe ask or take to a lawyer to say, listen, yeah, you guys, you need to pay. This is determined to see who obviously exceeds the credit payment, like we just read now, which debtors are only taking a chance by paying too late, and which debtors will have to be written off as bad debts or handed over to the attorneys. Okay, so this is a control procedure. So you can take this down, write down. Control procedures are put into place to make sure that we handle our debtors accordingly. Who do we need to remind? Who maybe just forgot to pay their account? They are great payers. They pay every month, but now they just forgot. Okay, so they're paying too late, or sometimes you think no, they won't really see, so they're just taking chances. Or you've seen, okay, this person I've handed over to the attorneys now, and month after month I'm not hearing anything back, so I'll need to write this off as bad debts. Okay. The following example of a debtor's age analysis is the following. See if you can provide creative answers that will encourage a debtor to pay the overdue accounts. Interest is always a good answer, and discounts allowed is always a good answer. Okay, so now we have the accountant of Parky Stores conducted an age analysis of outstanding debtors on the 31st of May. The findings are summarized as follows. Instructions. If the credit period granted by Parky Stores to all debtors is 30 days following the date of the first account statement, state your recommendations would be in respect of actions to be taken. So now we say general comments in respect. This is our first question. If we can read it, I don't want you to see the answer. So our first question is general comments in respect of control of collection of data. So here it just says, have a look. Now I'm going to give you 2 minutes, but have a look at our data's age schedule. I'm going to give you just a minute to just have a look at it and formulate what you think. What would you say? What would your comment be? Okay, I hope you've had a look to see what you would say. So, can you see that maybe they keep on giving van Staden, they keep on giving you more and more credit. So maybe you should first pay off his 90 days before he actually goes on and to buy more stuff on credit. Now, if I ask you such a question, I would like to see, can you understand what you are reading, and can you then analyze to say, is there good control procedures or bad control procedures? Okay, so this is very important. Always refer when I ask you to just generally comment on the collection. If I specifically ask you about the collection of bad debts, of just the normal debtors, I want you to make a conclusion to, is there a good control or a bad control put in place? Okay, only one debtor's account is up to date. Okay, so obviously we have only one who is up to date. Okay, this is an indication that the collection of debt and the investigation of credit worthiness of the debtors were not properly conducted. Great trigger thing here in a question. So another thing I now mentioned, you should always conclude whether there's bad or good control over it. Another thing you should also look at and mention is the investigation regarding the worthiness of the debtors. So meaning, can they actually pay their debt? Isn't there too big of a credit given to them and they physically can't pay if they actually incurred all of that debt or bought so much things on credit? So was there a good enough control put into place to do a background check on them on how this person actually pays their debt? Is he a regular payer? All of those things are important to mention. Okay, what would you say? What would you add here? Have a look. Have a look at the answer and think, what would you add here? Okay, so now my next question will be, give any recommendations of the actions that should be taken against each debtor. So now I'm going to give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes. so that you can think what action should be taken. Get out a piece of paper, write it in your activity book, whatever you feel like. This is in preparation of exams, obviously. So I want to know from you what you would do for each. So for Van Wyk, Van Staden, De Waal, Swanepoel, Neetler. Okay, all of them. Can I give you 5 minutes to just have a look and physically do the question before I just give you the answer? Okay, guys, let's have a look. So I've given you enough time, hopefully. So let's look at J van Wyk. So what's happening here? J van Wyk. It says he's in debt with 7,200 Rand regarding goods purchased during April, right? Because if this is May and it's 30 days outstanding, we are going to go to the first month that passed, which was April. Now it says he should get a reminder with a request to pay his debt with immediate effect. So maybe a good statement saying, you are within your 30 days, maybe from 60 days or from the 31st day, you will incur interest. So here's a reminder, please make sure that you pay this. And with regards to you not paying, there will be a interest that you will pay additionally. With the account of Mietle, this account is no concern at this stage. He might be a new debtor or a prompt payer. So here was the indicator that he says only one debtor is up to date. So current means that he may be in this month, in May, he bought these stock or items that we're selling. So we need to now say this is not, you can even say positive. Okay, so what I want you to make sure you understand is when an action is taken, maybe give him a discount, on his next when he pay us to pay his debt. Maybe say, because you are such a loyal payer, we now this month are just giving you a 5% discount, or even if you pay within the next 20 days, you will get a discount. So a positive remark can also be just fine. Okay, S van Staden. Now she's a big problem. They keep on giving her, they keep on letting her buy on credit, but she's not paying anything. So each month she's just buying and buying, but maybe she is paying, but maybe it's a too small amount and she needs to actually start paying bigger amounts. So we say, she is an unwilling payer. Why can we say such a thing? Because can you see that there's 3 months outstanding debt from her side, and should receive a final warning to pay. So can you see that she's within her 90 days? Like that should most definitely get a warning. So maybe here you should start giving interest. And here you should say, listen, here, this is your final warning, and here you can give them over to the attorneys. So she's an unwilling payer, and we need to give her a final warning. Say, in spite of the fact that she is a slower payer, credit is still offered to her. It should be considered not to sell anything to her unless her account is settled. So like I mentioned just now, that I just saw Marvin's question, so I'll answer Marvin just now. Sorry about that, Marvin. I didn't see your question. We should not give her we shouldn't let her buy anything on debt anymore until she maybe just settles in 90 days, or she settles some of her account or a specific percentage of her accounts. This amounts to, so this would be April, this would be May, April, March, Feb, and this will be from Jan, December, November, October. Okay, so this is May, April, 30 days before, then March, Feb, and then Jan. So anything before Feb. Okay, so anything more than 90 days before the 31st of May. I hope that answers everyone's question. Okay, now let's just look at the last two before we leave for today. Ye de Waal, or why de Waal? She owes 3,420 Rand regarding purchases made in January or even earlier. She didn't make any purchases during the last few months, which means she cannot be traced or might have a new address. Her account should be handed over to the lawyers for collection. So can you see that she now hasn't paid anything. We are in May, and she hasn't even paid any debt from January's. Okay, so anything from January onward, she did not pay anything. So she should be handed over to the attorneys, because can you see there was no activity within the last 4 months from Feb up until May. So maybe her address changed, or her email address changed, or she just decided, you know what, I'm not going to pay this outstanding amount. So therefore, that's why such a drastic step is taken to hand her over to the attorneys. Last one, A. Swanepoel. Let's look at A. Swanepoel. Okay, so can you see he's also no activity? No activity. He should get a final warning. He is in debt with 450 rands of goods purchased in February, right? He should get a final reminder to pay his debt. The amount is probably not big enough to justify the cost of an attorney to cover what he owes. So can you see a few things are taken into account? It's taken into account what the amount is, the how much the the data keeps on buying, what the difference is, my difference is between my action here and here, where because it's 450 rand. Do you see, in regards to your balance, that's like 10%. So would you really incur cost of an attorney? No, I would just write it off as bad debt. Okay, so what I wanted you to see, this was a very practical and very simple example, but I just wanted you to refresh your memory on debtors age analysis. Try and start seeing what you should take into account, what you should not take into account. Okay, note, an age analysis in respect of our repayments to creditors is also drawn up for internal control purposes regarding the payments of creditors. This will guarantee prompt payment to the creditors and prevent them from imposing interest on our accounts. Even more importantly, it ensures that our business establishes a good name and maintains its credibility. So make sure that you take this down, so that you remember when we go on to our creditors and our creditors control and our age analysis regarding our creditors, you can maybe put this in a creditors internal control answer. So if I ask you anything about that. That concludes our session for today. It was lovely having you. We will then continue tomorrow with some activities regarding the debtors and the creditors recon. Have a good day, guys.